Greetings, MGTOW brothers. Neo, I believe here. Let's talk about the duality of anger. As many people know, there's the anger that's good, and there's the anger that's bad. The anger that's bad is the kind that makes you bitter. The kind that holds a grudge. The kind that people just feel when they're around you, and it has a repelling effect that keeps people away. The worst part about bad anger is that it works to attract negative, destructive people into your life like a magnet. The good anger, however, is the kind that you can condition into self-defense along with self-improvement. Anger is a motivational fuel to better your personal situation. Now, my personal goal as a man going my own way is to hone this ability of constructive survival anger. The good anger is essentially a survival tool. There's no doubt about it. Don't let anybody give you hell for being angry, because it's your ability to survive that they feel threatened by. As long as you have the answer to survival, and they don't, then they are essentially obsolete. They say stop being angry because they don't want the competition. One of you will live according to the general principle of survival of the fittest, and it's going to be you if you're the person who can condition your anger into a survival tool, namely self-defense. But this also takes into account certain factors like the skills to build, having security, having a habitation or shelter, what have you. Ultimately, the goal is to destroy the bitter, negative, bad anger, because that will not do shit for you. It will do more against you, rather, and you don't want that. As a MGTOW, you already have more than enough shit going against you as is. We all get comfortable in the bad anger phase. Before we ever understand this knowledge of good anger, we are all very comfortable in being pissed off at the wrong reasons. Bad anger can either be released through wrongful activities such as vandalism, hate, assault, etc., or it can be transformed into good anger. Here's a chart layout that I've created for the purpose of this video. So we have the two columns of anger, bad anger and good anger. In the category of bad anger, we have things like negative, destructive, passive, female, peril, and there's more, but these are the main focuses. In the category of good anger, we have things like positive, constructive, active, male, survival, and again, there are more, but these are the primary focuses. You can see that we have a scale similar to the yin-yang symbol. Let's talk about the bad anger. If you're just pissed off at nothing, this anger takes over and makes you do stupid shit like hurting a fellow MGTOW, destroying a fellow man's property, holding a grudge against someone who's otherwise a friend, taking anger out on a physical level because some cunt broke up with you. I mean, how many times do we gotta hear on the news about some shooting spree because some cunt wouldn't date a guy or something? Bad anger is the female side of the yin-yang coin, per se. The yin. It's destructive, it's mindless, it is irrational, it's driven by emotions rather than logical thought and consciousness. That's the bad anger, and as MGTOW, we don't need it in our lives. We're not associated with it, and we're going to rise above it. If you are so filled with rage, for instance, and you don't channel this rage into something positive, you suffer the harsh consequences of letting the bad anger take over. However, taking control of your rage and using it as a means of self-defense, protection, and improvement, you begin to ponder the consequences of what could happen, and you opt out of doing something stupid and destructive. That's where the good anger comes into play. In the category of good anger, however, you have the active and the constructive anger. This is the kind of anger that motivates you. You're still using the key element of rage, but you are focusing it to better yourself as well. Granted, this can come with sacrifices. I myself have been in a position where I was with great conflict. A few years back, I was working at a job that was twat-free. No female co-workers, no female boss. In today's day and age, that is a refreshing feeling for a MGTOW to work at a job that isn't entirely controlled and staffed by women. I mean, how many times are you ever going to come across that? Anyway, I had the bliss of being in a MGTOW-like environment at this job. However, the pay was shit, and I knew that I had an opportunity to get a more established job, but the downside is that I'd be working with women. Working with women is something that I greatly despise, but I was in a position where I needed a pay increase, hence the conflict. I had gotten fed up with being poor and dealing with bullshit at this low-paying job, and I took on this other job where I had to work with twats. And as soon as I was financially stable, the job meant nothing to me. Coming to work every day and trying to interact with Western women on a non-sexual level was hell on earth for me. After that money rolled in, I was financially where I wanted to be, and I checked out of that job. I'm getting off on a tangent now, but that was the anger that drove me to seek something that I needed. I needed to fulfill a financial quota, and unfortunately, it just wasn't getting done at that MGTOW-esque job. And it really pissed me off that I had to conform to make an adequate living for myself. But true to my red pill discipline, I bailed when I made that money. But this was the constructive anger. The constructive anger led me to find a job that put me in a good position financially. Now granted, this happened to me a few years back when I wasn't so deeply immersed in the red pill and all its liberating power as I am now. Nowadays, I would not have opted for the twat job simply for better pay. Nowadays, I understand the value of life and womanless freedom much better. And I'd be hard-pressed to throw myself in a pit of corporate Western women for the sake of chasing a dollar. Starting my own businesses or simply working in a men-only environment is the way to go. That being said, we can agree that the good anger has a lot to do with motivation as well. This drive to basically do something with your life or do something constructive for others. Anger has always been a duality, but the objective is for us to focus solely on the good. There is no balance or coexistence when it comes to anger, only the will to abolish the bad anger altogether. And this can only be accomplished with anger. The essence of malehood is anger. But when it comes to the female anger, the passive anger, the destructive anger, the bad anger, well, that just destroys the objective of what our goal is. Our goal is the infinite essence of malehood, and pettiness like bad anger is just for the bitches. You piss a woman off, she remembers it 5 or 6 years down the line and retaliates for something you didn't even know you did wrong 5 or 6 years ago. That's the anger of the cunt, and we're not concerned with that. We're not concerned with having an equal 50-50 balance of this. You see, our objective is to destroy this completely within ourselves. Living in a gynocentric shithole such as the United States of America, some of us in Canada, some of us in the UK, Australia, what have you, we've been conditioned to have this ingrained in us. The petty anger is not a natural emotion whatsoever. It's just something we're ingrained with, having cunt teachers all our life. Maybe some of us grew up in a fatherless homes. The media was entirely gynocentric. So the focus is the constructive anger. You don't need bitterness. You don't need negativity. And people mistake negativity. As a MGTOW yourself, how many times has someone accused you of being negative? Probably quite a few times, right? As MGTOW, we tend to say things like, I'm not getting married, statistically there's too many risks. Or, I'm through dating, there's too many cheating whores. Now, to an idiot, this may come off as negative. We observe the world around us with open eyes, and we understand that a woman is going to lust after the bad boy regardless of how good and faithful her current partner is. So the guy who declines from dating is clearly the smarter of the two. You don't have to go through the ringer. It's not negative, it's a defense mechanism. But again, when you start speaking in terms of self-defense and survival, the shaming language comes from people with their own set of insecurities, because you have now shown that you are the more optimal of the two of you. If you decline relationships because you know women for who they are, while Bobby Blue Pillar still thinks that every woman is as awesome as his mom, then you've posed a threat to him. As soon as his girlfriend dumps him, he's on Match.com looking for a new 30-something-year-old to meet at a bar. We need to always have our defenses up. The goal is to allow anger to be the fuel that abolishes anger. This is the only way to proceed forward, gentlemen. I hope to touch on more of the subject of anger in the future with more videos. Look for my channel in the future. I have plenty of videos in the works that I want to share with you. As always, everything will be addressed in a MGTOW manner. Thank you and believe.